The silence of apartment 206 was the first thing Leo noticed. It wasn't a peaceful quiet, but a dense, woolen hush that seemed to swallow sound whole. For the price, he'd expected noise, pipes clanging, neighbors arguing, the creak of an old building settling. Instead, there was only the occasional, distant groan of the elevator, and the hum of his own refrigerator. The realtor had been eager, too eager, to hand over the keys. "A steal," she'd said, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "Unit 204 next door is, between tenants." She paused. Very quiet building. Leo unpacked his meager belongings, a suitcase of clothes, a box of books, a single framed photo of a life that no longer existed. The apartment was a time capsule, of faded yellow wallpaper, and linoleum floors the color of weak tea. It smelled of dust, and old cooking oil, a scent that clung to the back of the throat. He told himself it was temporary, a stepping stone. He was starting over. The first night, exhaustion pulled him into a deep, dreamless sleep. The second night, he woke with a jolt, his heart hammering against his ribs. The digital clock on his nightstand glowed a sickly green, 2:14 a.m. He lay there, disoriented, listening. Had he dreamed a sound? Just as he was about to dismiss it, he heard it, a whisper. Not from the hallway, not from the window. It came from the wall behind his bed, the shared wall with apartment 204. It was faint, papery, the sound of dry leaves skittering across concrete. It formed a single word, drawn out and sibilant. Liu. He sat bolt upright, his blood turning to ice water. He held his breath, straining to hear. Nothing. The building was silent again. A trick of the mind, he reasoned. Stress. Grief. The unfamiliar environment playing tricks on him. He forced himself to lie back down, staring at the water-stained ceiling, until dawn bleached the room gray. It happened again, the next night. 2:14 a.m. The whisper, clearer this time, more insistent. "Leo, are you there?" It was a man's voice, old and cracked, but with a terrible, intimate familiarity. It knew him. On the fourth night, armed with a flashlight, and a growing, corrosive dread, Leo left his apartment. The hallway was lit by a single, flickering bulb. The carpet was a murky burgundy, worn down to the threads, in a path leading to the elevator. He stood before the door to 204. The number plates were tarnished, hanging slightly askew. A thick layer of dust coated the doorframe, and the small, wire-reinforced window set into the wood. Peering through the grimy glass, he saw only darkness, and the faint outlines of sheet-draped furniture. He went to the building superintendent, Mr. Borodin, a sullen man, who smelled of cabbage and motor oil, and who held court in a basement office cluttered with broken appliances. "Apartment 204, Leo said, trying to keep his voice casual. "The one next to me. Is it really empty?" Borodin didn't look up from his newspaper. "Yes." "For how long?" "Long time." "How long, exactly?" The super sighed, a wet, rattling sound. He finally met Leo's eyes, his own were pale, and watery. 11 years. Since the old tenant left. Left? He moved out? Borodin's gaze shifted back to his paper. He died. In the apartment. Took them a week to find him. And after that, no one stays long in 206. You are the first, in 5 years. He said it, not as a warning, but as a statement of grim fact. The information coiled in Leo's gut, like a cold snake. That night, he pushed his bed against the far wall, as far from 204 as possible. It didn't matter. At 2:14 a.m., the whisper came again. It wasn't just from the wall, anymore. It seemed to come from the vent, near the floor, from the pipes, in the bathroom, from the very air, around him. Leo. I'm so lonely. It's cold, in here. He began to deteriorate. Dark smudges appeared under his eyes. He jumped at the sound of his own faucet dripping, slowly. He took to sleeping on his lumpy sofa, a kitchen knife on the coffee table, but sleep was a fugitive state. The whisper was evolving. It was starting to form sentences, to make requests. Leo, open the door, just a crack. We could be friends. I know what you're running from. That last one froze him, more than any other. How could it know? The shame, the failure, the reason he was here in this awful, whispering place, it was his secret alone. Driven by a mixture of terror, and a desperate, morbid curiosity, Leo began to research. At the local library, he scrolled through microfiche of old newspapers. He found it, in a brief, tucked-away obituary from 11 years ago, Ezekiel Croft, 78, of 450 Ravenswood Avenue, apartment 204. Found deceased in his residence. A private man. No surviving family. There was a small, grainy photo, of a man with deep-set eyes, and a thin, unsmiling mouth. Leo felt a jolt of recognition, though he knew it was impossible. The whispers grew bolder. One night, they promised things. I know where she is, Leo, the one you lost. I can tell you. It was a cruel hook, sunk deep. Another night, they turned threatening. This is my place. You are in my place. You need to leave, or you need to join me. Finally, shattered and sleepless, Leo snapped. It was 2:13 a.m. He stood in his hallway, facing the door to 204, a heavy wrench in his trembling hand. He watched the clock on his phone tick to 2:14. As the minute changed, he heard it, not a whisper this time, but a soft, rhythmic scratching, coming from the other side of the door. Like fingernails on wood. With a cry that was part rage, part despair, he swung the wrench. The old lock gave way, with a splintering crack. The door swung inward, on protesting hinges, releasing a gust of air, so cold it made his lungs ache. The smell was overwhelming, dust, decay, and beneath it, the sweet, cloying scent of potpourri gone rotten. Moonlight, from a grimy window, slithered into the room, illuminating a scene of perfect, preserved stillness. A sofa, and armchair, shrouded in yellowed sheets. A dusty, old-fashioned television. A small dining table, set for one, a plate fossilized with something unidentifiable. It was a tomb. The scratching was louder now. It came from the back wall, the wall he shared with his own apartment. Leo stepped inside, his shoes leaving prints in the thick dust. He moved past the sheet-draped furniture, toward the short hallway, leading to the bedroom. The door to the bedroom was closed. From behind it, he could hear the whisper, clear as day, no longer muffled by walls. "Leo, you came. I knew you would." He reached out, a shaking hand, turned the cold porcelain knob, and pushed. The bedroom was a mirror image of his own, but frozen in time. And there, on the floor, slumped against the wall, where Leo's bed would be, on the other side, was a shape. It was shrouded in a dark blanket, but as Leo's flashlight beam trembled over it, he saw a skeletal hand, protruding from the fabric, fingers curled, as if in mid-scratch. The wallpaper behind it was torn and gouged, long, desperate furrows, in the plaster. The whisper was no longer coming from the walls. It was in the room with him, a vibration, in the frigid air. "You see," the voice sighed, a breath of tomb air, washing over him. "I've been right here, all along, waiting, for a neighbor." Leo's flashlight clattered to the floor, plunging the room into a darkness, broken only by the sliver of moonlight. In the sudden black, he felt a presence, solidify beside him. He could feel the cold radiating from it, could smell the dry, papery scent, of extreme age. A brittle, bone-cold finger, traced a line down his cheek. "Now," the whisper hissed, filled with a dreadful, lonely glee. "Now we can talk properly, face to face. And you'll never be lonely again." The last thing Leo saw, before the darkness inside the room became absolute, was the faint, glowing numbers of a digital clock on a bare nightstand. They flickered, then settled, at 2:14 a.m.